I'm usually a procrastinator, so having those deadlines was great for me. And from hearing what other people say, sometimes they don't do so well in online classes, I think having those deadlines is nice. And it's nice for the instructor too, because then they aren't bombarded with everything at the end either. So I'm sure it's helpful for them to have those deadlines.
I think that something like that should have a greater number of due dates, or at least have them a little more spread out, not all right at the end, or here's half in the middle and half at the end, because all that's going to do is let somebody cram and cram and cram right before the due date and do it all up and get it all done, and here it is, and then do nothing for a month, and then, okay, here's everything for this month, and put it in. And depending upon the course and the material, the structure should be based on that.
I think due dates and late policies are awesome because I'm such a procrastinator. I had one class that didn't have any due dates except for the midterm and the final, and I literally sat down and did everything the day before the midterm and did the same thing for the final. And so it was kind of, obviously I knew a lot of the material, but at the same time I really didn't learn anything extra because I sat there and just frantically worked on it for several hours and submitted it, and I was like, okay, I'm done.
I really liked the flexibility of having one due date a month, say, and it worked because the professor was very clear. In this month, you need to get everything done, all of these X, Y, and Z done before that given date. So it looked like a lot that was due, but you had to have that 4-week time period to complete it. And the professor would email it was about every Monday, she would send out an email to say, all right, students, if you want to stay on track, you should be completed with this section and working on this section and have this done by Friday. So just kind reminders, and that was a good incentive. It was enough structure for me to make sure that I met the deadline at the end of the month.
I don't think that it's overly important to structure the class the same way throughout the entire length of it, saying that, okay, every week you have an assignment, or every 2 weeks you have a due date, or every month you have a due date. I don't see anything wrong with going for a week and having a due date, and then going for 2 weeks and having a due date, and then a month. That I don't think is an issue depending upon the material that's going to be involved with that time frame.
It would be easier if it was consistent. One class is where she's all over the place. She's very detail-oriented person, I could tell, and it's good, but it can be a little like, oh God, I have to catch up. Why is she doing that this week? It wasn't as consistent as I would have liked, and so it kind of threw me off my schedule, and I have to work, and then I have to do this other class is due, and kind of thing. So if it was more consistent within each class, then okay, I expect that, instead of having to always look at the calendar.
It's nice to have the date, like on a Tuesday, the assignments are due on Tuesdays. Yes, it is. That way you just knew in your head that, okay, the second Tuesday of the month I have to have these assignments done by then. Or, I have to have these tests done or these quizzes done by here, and then the test the next day.
Sometimes it's nice if the instructor is willing to kind of give and take when it comes to the late policy. I've had instructors that it has to be done by this time at 11:59 at night, and if you don't submit it by this time, you don't get any points. And and I think that, granted, that's good and should have helped me not procrastinate quite so much. But when you have a busy life because of work and because of other things, and then being a single mom, it was sometimes that assignment just kind of slipped right by me, and I had a couple of instructors that had pretty set deadlines, but they were willing to work with you if you talked to them before the deadline.
Actually, a couple of classes I've had very wonderful instructors as far as being flexible in even due dates of assignments, even though we know ahead of time when they're due. I got called out of state for an emergency in my last class, and I was in North Dakota, and just a lot of stressful situations, and I just emailed the instructor as far as what was going on, and she was wonderful and just said, could you have it done by this date rather than this date? I'll extend it for this time.
It always frustrated me and made me want to just give up on the class when it was, nope, you can't have any extra time, you're done, you get a 0. I think one of the policies I had for writing class I didn't think was all that fair, that a big or part of your grade relied on another student proofing your work and proofing it correctly. And so that was very frustrating to me because, I had one paper where the person didn't proof correctly, and so their errors caused me points.
The professor would drop your lowest 2 scores of homework assignments, your lowest 2 scores of quizzes, and your lowest test score. Because the course was worth so many points, but all of the assignments that were provided for the course in total were greater than what the course total was. So some of them had to drop out to hit your max. And I think that was, I don't know about fair or unfair. That, while it was great for me because then I didn't have to go and take another test because, hey, that test score was 0, so it's going to get dropped off anyway. And I've got an A in this class already, so why go through and do the rest of the work because it's not going to count towards anything. But it allowed me to be a little lazier, but I don't think it really helped me learn anything more. I would have amended the policy myself to say, you have to do it, or it's going to count and it's going to count as 0. Then we'll drop the lowest scores. But I think just dropping them, period, and letting it sit at 0, while nice for me this time around because I got to be a little lazier and didn't have to do anything, I don't think it was really beneficial.
Online tests are nice because then they can still do it at home. Having to go to a testing center to take a test sometimes isn't as feasible because, like with me, sometimes I worked 12-hour days. The testing center was closed by the time I got off work, and it's just harder to work in the schedule, whereas some people work better later at night or early in the morning.
Last summer, when I took the online class, I was in a town where the only option for proctored exams was at the library, and you had to pay $40 per exam. So from a financial standpoint, that was an unexpected component, but it was fine. This summer, I was in a city where the library proctored exams for free, so that was perfectly fine with me.
Online testing is nice, but then too, depends on how you trust your students as far as taking the test online. It goes with that.